I wanted to show you what I was working with today. So I finally bit the bullet. We're in my Etsy room. It's actually in the basement. We are in a semi-finished, well, it's pretty finished. The flooring is painted concrete, but there are plaster walls. But this is my Etsy room for all intents and purposes, and I am really happy that I have a space like this. However, having this much space means that I am a little bit less inclined to be removing things from Etsy after they do not sell for, almost a year or more. But I finally decided, look over here. So all of the stuff I pulled from Etsy, just a ton of glassware, and I've got more up here, all of that, and then this thing here is filled. So not that. That is just up there because I was looking at it for somebody. But the mugs here, all of this. So I do have my antique booths. I have 3 of them now, and I am going to go through this stuff and decide how much I am attached to it and how much I think I'm going to be able to sell it in the booth. So I do know the globe will sell. I have sold globes like that in the booth, and they sell for about $20 on average. I might go a little bit higher for it. It's a very good globe. And, I know like a year and a half, 2 years ago, actually right whenever I was getting in the groove with Etsy, I was selling globes like that. At least 2 of them I know I sold. And all of a sudden I just can't sell it. So I don't know if I have no clue. But the globe is going to go in the booth. And then there's just lots of glassware. These really interesting, again, stuff like this. Whenever I first started Etsy, I was selling glasses really well. And this is what's currently in style, I think. It's this Hollywood Regency. It kind of harkens back to, the 30s, 20, all of that Hollywood ritzy glam stuff that's really popular right now. But I mean, that's from the 70s, but you know what I mean though. So it's in style, yet it's not selling. And I don't know why, but it's kind of okay because a lot of the stuff, we have glassware like this. These are another set of glass, like Sunday cups, or I bought them at an auction thinking that they were awesome, so cool. They had this Art Deco look to me. They're not that old, but they still have the lines, and I bought it because of that and the fun colors. Let's see, what do they say? I can't read that. It says Italy something or other on the bottom, but there are all different colors of those, and I don't think I paid more than like $3 or $4 for those, but I thought they were going to sell so simply, but they didn't. So those are going to go in the booth. I have my tote here full of items, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the antique mall where I have 3 antique booths now. Maybe soon 4. No, I mean, I would like another, but not for the next extended, like, I don't know when. Let's just say that. But I do find, okay, so I really do need to sit down one day and seriously look at how much money I'm making in the booth and see if it's like a worthwhile thing I want to continue to keep pushing and growing into more of. I'll tell you, whenever I first started the antique booth, I started with 1, but the idea with that was I was going to all these auctions and estate sales, yard sales, and I was finding all these things that I didn't want to put online because they took a lot of time for like $1, for like a few dollars. And I'm not going to sit online all day. That's about boring. So I wanted a booth so that I could get and liquidate these things out rather than donating them and just taking a loss on these items because there's still value to be had with them. So that was the start of the booth, to just take up these things that I necessarily didn't really care about. But as time has gone by, I found that there is more of a reason to have booths to sell even like other things that do have value that I am going to make good money on, that I don't want to list for other reasons. Maybe they're too big or too heavy or they're furniture. So there's other reasons to have a booth, but I need to think about how I want to have it interact with what I'm doing and the direction I'm going. So I will definitely need to look into how the booth sales are, my expenses on the sales, my expenses having the booths the rent, the cost of goods, all of that. Usually my cost of goods is pretty low, but I need to take a look into that and see, 3 booths is a good number for me right now. I need to find out if that's a structure and a way I want to scale, just getting more and more. Like if the local, basically, is the local economy here scalable? Is it where I can continue to get more and more things and sell them here locally or not? I need to know that. So that's something I just kind of have to experiment with and learn as I go. Definitely online, I do find that I can sell things and make good margins, and obviously a wider audience, larger, wider audience is online. So there's that. By the way, I have my hat here, Real Nifty Vintage. First time I'm wearing it on camera, I think. So that's pretty cool. And no, it's not for sale. I don't have a way to do that. But I mean, I'll think about it. If enough people are interested, I'll look into ways to make this available online. But I basically just bought it for myself because I think it's really cool. So I've got a lot of stuff this time around in here, lots of salt and peppers and just different things. So the idea is I'm going to start pulling items that are not selling, older things that I've had, mainly in the 3rd booth, the one like my newest space that is sort of just kind of a catch-all. So I'll be pulling things and being able to put better things in there. So this is the first tote that I'm going to show you right here. This is all of my stuff. And then over here, we have another tote full, and everything in it beside the 2 fabric things on top are Barbs. So these are things that I will be selling. Oops, let's see here. Get that out of the way. So, Aaron's sister, Barb, she has stuff to sell too. She goes to auctions just like I do and yard sales. And these are some of the things that she's acquired and doesn't really want to put online because she only has so much time as it is herself. So, I will be mostly putting these in the 50s booth. Some things here will be going in one of my other booths too. But all of her items share the same exact tag as mine, except for a notation on the back of her initials. So that way we will know what items are hers when they sell. And the way we have it worked out is she's not going to pay any rent or anything, but when and if an item does sell, I will get 30% of the sale. And then I think, and then another 10% of that is going to go to the antique mall owner. So she'll be keeping about 60% of every sale without paying any rent or anything if the item sells when it sells. So that's the best way we could think to do it. So there we are. Depending on what the item is, I don't want to clean it too much, but in the case of these, this is grease, built up grease, and I pretty much all got them washed. Over here, there's 4 of them, you can see. They're sparkling clean, but I'm just using dish soap to wash these, so it's doing the job fairly simply. I mean, you can see it's still on there. Just give it a little scrub-a-dub, and it takes it off of there. But yeah, it's a whole thing because, this is just one of the items, and I've got tons of stuff to go through and wipe off. So if it only needs just to be wiped off, then I'll use plain old water, hardly any water on the rag, just pretty dry, but, enough to be able to get any dirt off. That's true with primitives and stuff like that. You don't want them to be too oily or too dirty whenever you're handling them, especially in the store. So yeah, I just sat here and scrub this stuff like this, and that's how I deal. That's how I clean the vintage items for resale. And of course, it depends on the condition of the item. If there's lots of crazing, or if it's terribly old, I will not submerge it because that will make the crazing even worse. So something like this, the glaze is really in great shape. And I'm also paying attention to the stickers because I do not want to wash the stickers off. So I was especially careful in not only putting these in the water, but whenever I'm using the rag and going over it, I'm not scrubbing over the sticker. I'm scrubbing around the sticker. So this one is good to go. But that's what I do. So as you can see, here's the salt. It has soap on it. The gold bits that you see really bad along the top here, all of this has been caked on. See, wiped it off. Caked on from years and years and years. So yeah, it's gonna look like a brand new set by the time I'm done with it. Now I'm just gonna rinse them off. Give a little rinse, get all that soap off. and they are good to go. I think I missed, no I didn't, we're good. Now in here I also have a little hen on a nest, and for this I'm going to use a toothbrush that I designate for this and just give a little wipe down. See the top, there's lots of yellowing right there. Just give a little scrub. And I'm being careful to not scrub too much on this red because that is applied over the glass and it does have a tendency to come off. Of course, I can also use the washcloth in these larger areas, but as I get up closer to the face and details, I'm going to want to use the toothbrush. And like I said, everything does not require this much washing. You know, this is only in an extreme circumstance. If this was clean and it just had some surface dust or something on it, I would blow it off and then I would use just a damp washcloth without any soap and just give it a quick wipe off. I don't want to clean these things more than necessary. So this is just a really bad example, or a great example of one that's just dirty, really bad and dirty. All right, now we have a cookie jar right here, and it is, oh, her head was broken off. I did not know that whenever I bought it. See, that's what I get for not paying attention. But what I'm gonna do is just externally wipe her off and not submerge this piece because it's not terrible. This bottom part here is mostly just dust on it, so that will easily come off with the washcloth. The topper here is a little bit harder to get off because grease happened to settle on it more. We'll get it done. That's so sad of her. Right, I'm just now washing the bottom part. The top actually came out really nice and clean. But you know, one reason why I grabbed this is it reminded me a lot of this cookie jar that is in the TV show called Hazel. And it's not a really popular show. It's a funny show, it's a sitcom, but they do have a Dutch girl like this cookie jar in their kitchen. It might not be the same, but it reminded me of it. That's one of the reasons why I grabbed it. So yeah, I find myself grabbing and buying things for various reasons. Mostly they remind me of certain things or they're nostalgic, but yeah. The bottom here looks great. So, the thing about her neck being broke, I think I'm going to actually paint her neck. I think originally whenever they glued that, it wasn't gold colored, brownish colored like that. And I think over time the glue changed colors, or more likely grease settled in to that crack and it's not going to come out. Either way, I'm going to get in there with some paint. I'll try to color match the rest of that white. Try to color match that, and then it won't be so obvious. Not that I'm trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, but it just will look a lot better if you can't necessarily see that crack at first glance. And this item will be sold in the antique mall in one of my booths, and I'll put as is on there so that people know that it's not perfect. Looks beautiful now. So yeah, you can definitely see her neck. But yeah, like I said, I'll try to color match that particular shade of white so that it's not obvious. I'm gonna go ahead and dry that off now with a towel so that it's not gonna leave like watermarks. It has all of this paint over the glaze. And the red, and we've got black, and I am not submerging this underwater, but you can see all of this debris, dirt, dust. It's bad. So I'm going to use the washcloth and we're just going to gently go over it. I don't want to submerge this item in the water. And I do believe that it does have some value to it. So I am taking care of this, taking care of business. And as you can see, it's, look at that. Oh boy. All right, what I thought is confirmed. This is actually taking off some of the black. There are some wrinkle lines around here, and some of the ones up here, they're actually coming off. So this makes it even more difficult to do. At this point, I think I'm going to rinse this out and see what just straight water does. Yeah, it's very tricky, this thing is. But that's why you need to make sure you don't submerge. If you were to submerge this, chances are you'd pull it out, do one wipe of the washcloth over the face, and all of the paint would come off. And you would be so sad. I would be sad. I almost think I'm gonna sit at the couch tonight and get in here and wipe around these marks with this washcloth, because it's a set down job.